Is almost a full decade enough passage in chronological time for people to forget that the Netflix Marvel shows were generally not very good outside of the first season of a couple of them? The Kingpin parts, the hallway fights, and the Punisher parts? Well, Marvel is sure hoping so, because after actually trying to do a couple interesting things with the characters from these series and seeing Marvel fans react like Marvel fans to it, we are now squarely back in a complete rewind to 2015 with Daredevil Born Again, the, if I'm counting right, second or third time this series has retread the Matt Murdock gives up being Daredevil, no, just kidding, I guess I'll be Daredevil again storyline, because I guess that's the only place to go with this character. So saith the laws of gritty bullshit that has governed this character forever and always. And thus we have Daredevil Born Again, which shares the title, but not any of the plot of Daredevil Born Again. They already did that for Daredevil Season 3, back when they thought that was the last time they were gonna do this. You'll remember that as the season where they had so little money to spend, the bad guy couldn't leave his house, and the good guy and the bad guy had to share a costume. No such issue this time. In fact, this season they were throwing so much money at when they decided they didn't think an 18-episode episodic season wasn't working. They cut it in half, are releasing 9 episodes with newly shot first and couple last episodes, which are designed to tie it more directly to the continuity and tone of the Netflix series, which means a middle section that is indeed much more of an episodic legal thriller, mostly dealing with the rise of the Kingpin to the mayor of New York, and thus only intermittently features the gritty ultraviolence and extended action sequence stuff that the Netflix series was known for, is then bookended by 2 or 3 episodes at the start and finish, which are much more focused on the gritty ultraviolence and extended action sequence stuff that those were known for. Ends up feeling a bit tonally mishmashed, not necessarily in a bad way, but in a, wow, this was very clearly 2 different creative visions that have been crammed together. You know, sometimes these things happen. But as for our new story focus, yes, in what's definitely even more so than the last couple times, much more of a Kingpin show than a Daredevil show, the franchise having long ago figured out that the villain is the much more interesting character in this whole thing, and indeed it is really cool to see Vincent D'Onofrio back again. He is obviously great in this part, and for those wondering, yes, they are leaning really hard into the topical storytelling of, gee, I wonder which real-life newsworthy figure this violent New York gangster who runs for mayor of the city and wins, pretending to be a populist rule changer, man of the people, who pivots to a law and order platform and organizes a violent police militia to put down protesters and vigilantes, a police mercenary force made up of only the bad and questionable cops who like to use branding as their official logo, which ends up bringing out of hiding so that Disney can make very loud direct-to-the-camera statements of declaring that he hates. Gee, I wonder who this is supposed to remind us of and what this is all supposed to be an allegory for. Hope no one gets upset. They are, in fact, clearly hoping that people get upset and post about this and generate even more free publicity for the series. But, you know, apart from the topicality and my own general disdain for the gritty Netflix bullshit era of Marvel, which this is now trying to be hilariously nostalgic for, as though that whole thing didn't end up as a gigantic fucking mess. This all has an almost Deadpool 3 without the irony level of nostalgia for a whole slew of material that wasn't actually good. Tap dancing around the fact of references to other shows that they can only sort of mention. They keep bringing up Spider-Man. Oh, hey, there's another vigilante out there who dresses like a spider. We won't see him, but he's out there somewhere, sure. In general, the costumed action is kept very minimal for this one. They are trying very hard to remind everyone that this show pretends to be a legal thriller in the margins, while keeping the action very much confined to the first couple episodes, the last couple episodes, and some street-level hand-to-hand stuff. Just FYI, there's probably some bleeps and odd cuts in this, because about midway through the record and read through of this, I checked my notes again. There's some stuff that I was supposed to embargo for this, and I will apologize to regular viewers, because again, the review here, because I am cutting around a lot of things that I only recognized after initial read-through of this record, that were spoilers that I want to be cutting out of it. It does make me look forward to watching the second season, but good fight scenes. I was genuinely shocked at how violent they've allowed this to be. If people were worried, oh, I don't think they're going to let them be as violent as they were before, clearly that mandate has vanished because, wow, yep, is it as violent as the Netflix stuff? There's at least one, guy getting knocked off scene in this that is much more violent than anything else that's been on Disney+. So if that is your metric by which these things are judged, okay then. It kind of occupies that bizarre space that the original version did, where every once in a while it tries very hard to be a serious lawyer show and then tips back around again into comic book bullshit, but not in the superhero side of it, but in the coincidences where, okay, I'm willing to believe the blind guy with superhuman senses and the magical ninjas and the fact that somewhere out there Miss Marvel and the Punisher and Spider-Man are running around, but I'm not necessarily willing to believe that all of these people have, say, the same therapist or know the same dentist or some such. Like, that level of it is where it starts to get ridiculous, if that makes sense. So on balance, as a slightly more competently Disney-budgeted version of hyper-gritty Netflix bullshit, call it a success. For a change, they actually let us watch the whole thing through, so while I can't tell you all the spoilers, I can confidently say solid 7 out of 10. This has never been, in my opinion, one of the great Marvel productions, but it is a solid one. And Vincent D'Onofrio is definitely given one of the great, if not greatest, Marvel villain performances, and he continues to show it off here, even as they've now firmly slotted him into a very obvious political allegory, which, what else can they do with it? The obvious comparison now will be, is Kingpin or Penguin the more obvious quasi-populist urban politician that we're slotting into awkward Trump metaphor guy? But that's probably unavoidable in the current climate. But he's doing a good job of it.